Again, this is Jazz 313 with a special curriculum for the urban male. In the description box, you will see this lesson. This is a curriculum specifically for males only. Males only. Whether you are mulatto, mixed, Puerto Rican, this right here is a self-esteem builder. This is a curriculum that was designed by me. You know, as you know, I was a former principal. The reason why our kids are doing so bad in schools is because nobody's teaching lessons about them. But I want to just start back what the word curriculum mean. That means race course in Greece. That means runway. It is a course of action for one to take throughout life. Many men can go through school for many, many years and not learn anything about themselves. So today, I want to just give you some of my insights, some of the people that I have read about and learned about. But the first one, and this is a European, John Brown. I'm not going to belabor you with a lot of stories, but John Brown was an abolitionist. He believed in helping and freeing black people. You need to read about him in the Harper's Ferry Revolt, which was an astounding story. I learned that when I was in high school. Another one is W.E. Du Bois, as well as Booker T. Washington. They had different opinions about how to uplift the race. Booker T believed in the talented 10%, the brown paper bag. That's what Du Bois believed. Booker T believed in cast your net where you are, pull yourself back up. And some people, some liberals talk about, well, if you don't have any bootstraps, how can you pull yourself up? He believed in skilled trades. He built Tuskegee Institute by hand, by brick. He took the dirt, he took the limestone. When you get down to Tuskegee, just go visit that great, great campus. John Brown, we talked about him, an abolitionist, Harper's Ferry. Another great one that they don't really talk about is the great Lerone Bennett. He did a book called Before the Mayflower. Let me say that again, Before the Mayflower. He was also the editor of Jet and Ebony. He taught at Northwestern University. Met him a couple times throughout my life. Just a great, great man, historian. This is, our kids need to see. Remember, I can only be what I see and do what I see. A lot of our kids go through history and just learn about all the other Europeans, which, you know, I'm not here to knock anybody, but this is a black curriculum, African, urban American centric curriculum. Another one is Arthur Schomburg in New York City, in Harlem. He's a black Puerto Rican. Him and John Henry Clark, Gordon Parks. I can remember as a young man working for Anheuser-Busch, we were based out of Newark, and we would have training, and we'd be there for weeks at a time. And I would go down to the Schomburg and listen to Gordon Parks and all these great thinkers and minds talk about, you know, just history, facts. That I was just, you know, it was like crazy. I'm like 22, 23, 24. Listen to those guys. They go hang out the jazz clubs, go work, go play basketball. But it was a renaissance for me, you know, and teach them about the Harlem Renaissance, you know, Cullen, teach them about Duke Ellington, teach them about themselves. You know, nothing the matter with European history, but this is a curriculum. Again, if you like what I have been doing with this work, click subscribe and share. And I must say I'm very, very ecstatic that you guys have been with me. It's been exactly 1 year today that I started this journey with over 100 videos, with over, a million people have but have seen this image, and over 100,000 people have listened to this content. Ernie Barnes in the background. This is one of his great pictures. It's called The Teacher. You know, when you saw Good Times, that was all the art. He was a great football player. And not just him, I could talk about so many artists, but my two favorite would be, the next one outside of Prentice Boswell and Paul Collins, would be the great Jacob Lawrence, you know, the Migration series. You need to pull up this mothers, you need to give your kids these assignments. I am giving you information, deep research that I have done over the years. Ernie Barnes, Jacob Lawrence. John Wooden said that failing to plan is preparing for failure. So I'm tired of the kids, our young youth, are being misrepresented. You got to teach them about Black Wall Street in Kansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm sorry. And they had them all over. You know, you had Hastings Street, you had the Regal District, Black Bottom down there. I mean, you got them all over. You know, with urban renewal, you got to teach them about redlining, what they did to our communities. Another one, John Henry Clark. How could I talk about great innovators that have came to us that they don't talk about in school? You know, he created the Pan-African study. You know, Carter G. Woodson, the father of African-American history. The Morrill Act that they did for HBCUs and the land grant. We just need to understand this curriculum for us, by us. Remember, when Washington or Lansing or whatever your local, Frankfort in Kentucky, whatever your, how can I say, your legislators propose, that's curriculum, that's the race, that is the drive, the course they put you on. I want to put you on an intellectual course to learn about yourself. Young men, another one, Sitting Bull in North Dakota, and see what they did with the Lewis and Clark expedition. You know, you need to learn about Sitting Bull. You need to, parents, this is the curriculum. I'm putting it on the description. So if I'm going too fast, you know, some of my viewers say, you be talking, but you don't give us the information. So as I move forward and get better at this craft, you know, I'm just giving this knowledge, not giving it away. I want to empower. I truly believe God has put me in a position financially to speak the truth to power, to say what I want to say. And anybody who know me, I don't really spend my time on any negativity with anyone. So, you know, I don't argue with anybody. As John Henry Clark said, I only argue with my peers. Everybody else I teach. But the haters, you know, as I always say, if you find something erroneous about this, you know my phone number. You can call me, or you can text me, or you can email me. And if you find anything inappropriate or wrong or not factual, I'll give you $1,000. The next one is, we talked about George Washington Carver, Charles Drew, the blood plasma, but there's some more that we don't talk about. The great Junior Bridgman played in the NBA. We could talk about Earl Lloyd, first black NBA player. You need to read about what he went through. My favorite is Jackie Robinson, you know, what they had to endure. And the reason I'm so passionate about this subject matter, Black History Month, Martin Luther King Day is just not today, not just February. It should be an everyday. We have to respect all lives, all segments of society. But this is for in the Americas. You know, I talked about Pablo Freire down in Brazil. Just great. But I was able to just get a couple of books out of my library. I probably have just played some of these before. But a must read, Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery. He had to teach himself. I mean, just incredible book. I don't want to just narrate the book. The next one, Malcolm X, must read by the great Alex Haley, who did Roots. This book right here is studied in universities and have been converted into over 70 different languages. Must have. The next one is, oh my God, Richard Wright, Black Boy, Native Son. These are black literature for my friends in Nova Scotia who don't get this kind of information, in Maine. You got people up in Renton, Washington. I mean, I got them from all over. I don't even know half of these places. But thank you for supporting me. This is Jazz 313. Click, subscribe, and share. This is the curriculum for the urban male. And I have to say urban male because in the urban centers of America, you have a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Puerto Ricans, a lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Black Americans, and the message is not being told. Another great legal mind, first Black Supreme Court Justice, our own Thurgood Marshall, I could talk about Malcolm X, I could talk about Miles Davis, and I could talk about all the jazz guys. This is a Jazz 313, but jazz was liberating to me as well as to the world. And our kids need to learn about Jelly Roll Morton and need to know about how jazz started and how jazz and Benny Goodman, how many people integrated. But this curriculum, this is a must-read book. I spent many years trying to get this book. If you need a book and you can't find a book, it's a place in Detroit called John King Bookstore. This is not a free advertisement for them, but this book is so deep. It's called The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual by Howard Cruz. The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual by Howard Cruz. I read this book 20 years ago. I just read it over the Christmas break. I mean, this book is, in my opinion, I don't know if I talked about Elijah Muhammad, but Elijah Muhammad, and I don't really do religion, but I do know God is real, just leave it at that. But he gave you the blueprint. He gave us the blueprint. We don't have to go reinvent the wheel. He told us how to eat, how to live, how to eat to live. He gave us, at one point, he had 48 schools all over the country, had his own farms. The blueprint is there. We don't have to go reinvent the wheel. The curriculum for the urban male. Remember, one thing I learned about my Polish friends and Hamtramck and Wyandotte, they cite and put statues and they reverence their leaders, their forefathers. We as urban people, black in particular, and some Mexicans, we don't really know our history. We can't celebrate. And if you sat in the classroom in America from the K through 12, it make you seem like it's an indoctrination center where we was just slaves. We was deeper than that. Deeper than that. The American curriculum was derived at the core of the curriculum was all about oppression. Remember, the word history is his story. His story. So, you got to have some women in there. You got to have some Hispanics in there. You got to talk about the Jews, the Arabs. There's a lot of great contributors to America, and it's a great contributors to the world that come out of Black America. Junior Bridgman took 300,000 and made it turn into 600 million. My man Reginald Lewis, I can say he was one of my mentors, died untimely, first black known billionaire. We could talk about a whole lot of these other things, but the curriculum is going to take parents to do some research with your kids. Teach them about Dr. Charles Drew. Teach them about Dr. Ben Carson. There's more to us than basketball and musicians. We contributed so many things, Asa Hilliard, Anthony Browder. I just think about so many great economic minds, John Johnson, Earl Graves, from a national, and then in our little local area, how could I speak about great leaders without talking about the great Coleman Alexander Young Sr., what he did back in Detroit, why Detroit is so progressive. When you think about the great Harold Washington or Tom Bradley, who was the first mayor out of Los Angeles, the great Stokes out of Cleveland, the great Hatcher out of Gary, Indiana. I can go on and on. Andrew Young, everybody talk about Martin Luther King and not knocking anything that this man have done. One of the great leaders, Nelson Mandela. This lesson really hits my heart. This is one that's been on my mind for many, many years. And I know we don't read, but I implore you to do some research. I'm going to put it in the descriptions. And until we meet again, thank you, as I always say, for giving me your time. If you like this, please click subscribe and share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I really, really humble and appreciate all the love that you have given me. And I hope that I'm giving you knowledge. And, may we continue into 2023 and grow and love each other. Thank you.